everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I am Richard Carlton, creator of FM Training TV, where every day we are doing awesome things with the FileMaker platform. I'm back in the saddle. Cool. That's it for now. So let me pass the command torch. I'm going to stop sharing command torch. And there's Nick on a Galaxy class starship. All right, Nicky, baby, what do we got going today?
Today we do something good, something nice. I already talked about this many times, but it was for very specific task. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about this and make some demonstration about wide use of it, right? And why I'm using that a lot, is because it's pretty much it's a oriented objects technique applied to FileMaker. So I'm doing some Xcode and stuff like that development, for my pleasure, like a hobby. Right? And something that I learned when I was over there at, I was at FileMaker Inc. / Claris, right? And so I was helping a developer. We had a project to redevelop the part setup in FileMaker, right? And we went pretty far, and then he left the company, and then his project goes in the oblivion. So, but it was cool because I learned a lot of things, and I was pretty much using Xcode to do that. So I learned stuff like this. And so what I'm doing here is using other development platform techniques and try to apply them to FileMaker, right? Because they have valuable interest, right? And they can solve so many things without being extremely complicated. It's not complicated. But if you don't know it, you can make it up. Or you need to make your own research and stuff like this, right? So obviously, every single developer, JavaScript developer, Python or whatever, Xcode, C++, whatever, they if they watch this webinar, they will understand what I'm doing, right? So it's pretty much using technique that apply to other platform, and but FileMaker handled that very well, right? So let's share my screen right quick. So what I want to do here, right? I want to do something like that. Let's say we have an invoice. I took the invoice example because that's my latest use on this. When I was, the last time I used that technique, it was to build an invoice system. So I have this in mind, so I use this. But you can use that for many other things, right? So I want to do this. So I have an invoice with a line item, right? You can see here, I have an hourly rate for this invoice, right? And I have a travel miles rate, So obviously, this is for labor, right? And this is for travel. Let's say you are hiring a RCC engineer so if you hire me, this is my hourly rate, right? And if you want me to come to your office from my house, that will be my travel miles rate, right? Correct? So I have two rates. And so of course here I have multiple invoice item, right? So it can be a travel. So let's say let's do the labor first. So you hire me, or like a CRM dev. So you hire me for a CRM dev. Let's say like 60 hours on this, 160, 155, and this will be the total. Okay, correct? So let's say, so you see that this line took the quantity. I don't know if you see the quantity. The quantity here is no longer quantity. It's hours. How many hours? I said how many hours. Okay, I say 60 hours. Then I add another item here, and I say, yeah, but this now I have a travel, right? So let's say 60 hours, that's 2 weeks of work, so 10 days, I have, let's say, 30 miles that are travel, that are, travel to office, right? So so let's say we have 10 days of work, 20 miles a day, so that's 200 miles. And you say here, miles, okay, because that travel, right? If I change this to labor, you say hours. If I say product, well, it say quantity. And if I said travel, it said miles. So let's say I have 200 miles, right? Right? This may be maybe a little bit too much. And then so you see, so I have this coming, and the travel mile here, the rate came from here, right? 5. And here that the travel mile came from here. If I change this, it changed this. If I could put back, so those two are connected together, right? Those two coming here. And if I say products, right? Well, so you have the day 1, right? And let's say that was 5 hours, right? Right. Um, the product will be the product will be, I don't know, whatever. I came with I don't know, some product like an iPad. You know, uh, you know, an iPad, and the price is like say 5.99. No, it's 1 and the price 5.99. Okay. So I have my invoice like this, right? So the prime here is that I have multiple items with different types, and I have different calculation for the amounts, right? The amount here, uh, yeah, for the, yeah, I know why it's coming 0. It's okay. So the amount here change calc. It doesn't come from the same fields, okay? Correct? So how you do this in a normal world? How you do this in the normal world? Well, I'll show you how you do that in a normal world, right? So let's create another amount in the item here. We have the amount. I'm not showing you the calc right now, right? But in a normal way, you know, in your world, oh yeah, I cannot do this. Oh yeah, but I don't want to do that. I want to create a new one. I don't want to show you the calc. So amounts normal, right? So it's a number, right? And this is how you do. So I'm in invoice item, right? So you say, so you in invoice item, and you say case, right? And you say uh, service. Okay, yeah, other. So you say whatever service equal labor, right? Then you go to the invoice item, and you take you go to the invoice, right? And you take the hourly rate, and then you say, hold on, I need to, and then you say invoice the service equal what I mean travel, right? If the service is this, right, is travel, then you go to the invoice and you take the travel miles rate, right? And the default is 0. So you do a calc like this, right? That works, right? That works. But it's a pain you know where to build, to change, to, and if you want to add a new, if you want to let your customer say, okay, yeah, I want to create my own, you want to create your own uh, service, an additional. So each time you have to call you as a developer, no, you don't want that. Or even if he had to call you, do you want to go to the calc and change this the hard, hard coded, and you don't want that. And let's say you have 50 services, not only one. You have 50. How you do? You do a case with 50 lines. That's what you want to do? No, this is not what we want to do, right? So here, when you select this, right? What are you doing in this? I have a table. So let me go to my. I don't want to show you everything right now. We want to go slowly. And so I have a table here, right? And I say, and I have my or whatever. Let me delete this. I have my product, labor, travel. I have my free here. If I want to say, I don't know, inspection, right? Inspection, and that is ours. Now I have my inspection. So if I go there, add a line, I have my inspection, and it's ours, right? So I can add my stuff on the fly. I'm adding this. So pretty much I have a table of my services, and all my services has an ID, right? So pretty much what I'm doing here, oh, I hit this. So I have an ID here. And what I'm doing here, I'm doing this. This here, this table here, we call invoice item, which is standard in an invoice system. You have the invoice record here, and you have item connected, related to this. So I'm going to my item. So pretty much what I'm doing here, right? I'm connecting to each item what service it is. So when you select something here, so if I'm adding one here, I have no service here. But if I select labor, this will be 31C03. If I change to inspection, this becomes 554B1. So I'm changing the ID. So this, right? It's the ID of this. So I'm connecting this record with this table, right? So now the service of this is a 997E. 997E, this is a product, correct? So now this line item, this record, is now connected, related to this service, right? So now, how I can get a different calc, right? How I can get a different how I can get this amount, how I can get this amount stuff, to be calculated different ways depending on the service without building a cumbersome, complicated, hard to build, how to manage, how to debug case scenario. How I can do that? Well, since this record is now connected, related to this service, well, I can just do this. Why is doing this? Did I click it? Yeah, okay. Boom. Each service now has its own calc. I have my own calc based on the service. So that means this service now, this record now, right, gets a different calc. I can get a different calculation based on the record itself. That means, okay, this ID, right? So if I go there, so let's go to the T13 context. If I go there for this service, I don't know why it doesn't want to make this. For this service, right? If I go here, so if I go there, the calc is this for this here, correct? This is my calc. It's just calling a field, right? But it could be anything. Anything, everything that you can put here, everything that you can put in the calc dialog can be put in the field itself. Everything can be, everything you put in a calc can be there. So before I go further, I want to make a demonstration, right? So let's say I want to make the miles rates, right? But I want to add an additional dot 55, right? On top of the rate, I'm adding like a tax, let's say, or whatever, a fee, right? Which is a multiplier. I want to add a multiplier because it's very complicated, what I mean? So for the travel, it's or you can add, for example, I got what's the name? A client that wanted to add difficulties, for example, not on the travel, but on the hourly rate. He say, yeah, but I want to add a multiplier because it's very complicated, right? So because it's very difficult, I want to add a multiplier. So you add a multiplier. So if I add a multiplier here, right? And I'm adding like a calc here. See, this is like take this field and multiply this field with 20.25. So if I add another label here, well, now is this, right? So plus, but this is not what I want. Plus this, right? Something like this. So if I add this, now it's 187.50, right? So it did the calc. So that means it took the 150 and it added 0.25% on top of it. The calc has been made, but I didn't go to the amount field. I didn't change any calc. Did you see me go to the managed database? Right? How could it work? I didn't go to managed database. I didn't change anything. I didn't do hard coded stuff, right? And of course, if I'm adding like a travel, well, this doesn't change. The calc still work because the calc is this, right? So let me go a little bit further before I'm getting the question, right? So how that works, how I can get this working, right? So everything that happened here happen in one context. We call that context. So what is a context in FileMaker? This is a context. This is a context. This is a context. I'm starting from that context. Okay. We do that a lot when we do here, right? We have to choose the context. Evaluate this calculation from the context of boom. So from where you need to be positioned to evaluate that calculation. So pretty much here, what a context in FileMaker? Well, it's all the occurrences where here, for example, I am in invoice table. I am in the invoices table. So what are here, for example, I can see I have three contexts. I have invoices, T12 and T13B invoices. What is this? Well, for invoices, for this table here, for this table, I mean, when I say table, I say physical table. For this table invoices, I have this context attached to it, this occurrence attached to it. I have, of course, this context attached to it, this occurrence. So this, and the T13B. Those three are related to the invoice table. So that's why here I have three available context, because they're the three I have in the relationship. If I'm adding another one, well, I'm adding this related to invoices. Well, now you guessed it, I will have four contexts here, right? Because this calc, these fields belongs to the invoice table. If I go to service, well, if I go there, I will have two contexts. Well, I will have this one, right? And this one, correct? So that is the concept of context. So when you evaluate a calculation, you need to evaluate from a context and then further. For example, here, I want this calculation to be evaluated from one context, right? I want this calculation to be evaluated from the T13 context, from here. This is where I have my items. So all the calculations, right, that I want to be performed from this context, right, I created a dedicated context where I want to start. That's why I have my dedicated world, right, for invoice item. So I have a dedicated context, a starting context, right, where I'm going to evaluate all my calculation. And then from that context, right, I will be able to access all of those related items. So from that context, T13, I can use T13A and T13B from any calculation. Proof of it? This context T13 invoice item belongs to the invoice item, table. So if I'm going to that invite, if I go here in my calculation, I can start from all of those, but I want to start from my dedicated context. So I'm starting from my dedicated context, and now I can access those two things. So in my calculation, I can use any of those fields, or I can use any of those fields in my calc. Why? Because I have access to them. They are related table from my T13 context. If I change starting context, well, here I don't have the same context at all because I'm starting from T12B. If I'm starting from T12B, well, I have access to this, right? And this, because I can do boom, boom, and boom, right? So if I go there and I say, yeah, I want to start from this context B, well, you have access to those two. If I'm starting from the T12A, well, you have access to those two. But if you access from T13 invoice item, you have access to those two. So when you build a system like this, you need to put the calculation in the field based on the starting context. So this is how relationship works. So before I go further, and I'm explaining more in detail how relationship works, right? Do we have any questions?
We do. The invoice field receiving the calculation is a lookup value? Question mark.
The what?
The invoice field receiving the calculation is a lookup value?
No. So this is something I'm going to answer later in my demonstration. I'm going to show everything, but before I show you how we use a tool to build a statue, I need to explain to you what wood is. Correct? Okay. So and how wood behaves, because you don't use the same tool, and you don't use the same way marble and wood when you do statues, right? So I need to show you, so I'm going to answer that later in the demonstration. So do we have any other questions?
Nope. You're good to go. Keep going. So,
Are you guys getting it so far, or is still fuzzy?
Canberra says, yes, they're getting it. How about other people? Are you getting it? Is it fuzzy? Do you need further extrapolation? I'm waiting for comments to pop in. They're typing, so give it a second.
Yeah.
Ken says that he thinks he's getting it. David says arrived late, but I generally think yes. Nick is evaluating.
Okay. So now, yeah, don't worry. I'm going to get there. But before, I need you to understand how relationship works and how you can use relationship in a new way and in a way that be beneficial for understanding and simplicity, right? Okay. So here I am in the T12 context. Well, yeah, because I am in invoice, and then I'm showing all the item related to the invoice, right? So I am here in the relationship, and I'm showing all the items. So this is one record in invoice and related to invoice item by the invoice ID. So that primary key invoice, and then here I have a foreign key invoice. Then ergo, at the end, I have a list, a pool with related records on the invoice item. So I am here, right? But then then I have in this table invoice item, I have other thing happening. I have other fields with calcs depending on things that I change here in this table, right? But I'm making the change. So that's why relationships are a little bit complicated sometimes to understand. But yes, but I am in this context. So when I do the change, I do the change in T12A, right? I do the change in T12A. So when I put hours here, right? If I put like, let's say I'm here and I'm putting 10, right? In T12A, right? Then it makes the calculation here. So you will say, yes, but all this calculation now must start from T12A. It's monolithic and needs to be that way. It cannot be other way because I am on T12A and I need to start on, if I want to do something from this, if I want to do something, I need to start from here. No. The answer is absolutely no. You don't have to. You don't have to do crazy thing like this, right? If you want, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to do crazy thing like this, like I see sometime, because you think, that you need to start from the T12A, or, no, you don't have to do this. You don't have to be in that particular context. You don't need to have one, two, three. No. What you need to do is to create its own world. This table here is invoice item, but I want my own starting world. I want my own system, solar system, right? About invoice item. This is the solar system of the invoice. Boom. Invoice connected to item twice with different fields. But I have my own world, right? Functioning on its own. And I have connections, relationships between that world and other planets. That the sun, and I have planets here, right? So this world has its own connection, right? But this planet is the same as this one. Correct? But now this one has its own world. This is now a world, right? Correct? So I can get any calculation in this table coming from that world, right? You know what I mean? So now that I have my world, T13, I can get things coming from the T13 world. I can have access to those two things. So even if I'm creating the record from this context here, the records, look, here. So I'm creating the record from here. It's created, right? The record, I create the record, right? But I don't have anything here. So yes, I am changing. If you look well here, right? So here, this field here, right, is empty because I didn't put anything. So from this context, I am accessing this table and I'm changing this with labor. Poof. That puts an ID in this field from T12. Yes, but doing so, you started another new, totally brand new mechanism from this context. Say, okay, oh, whoa, hold on. You have changed this field from here, but now from that world, I am going to evaluate all the calculation because yes, I'm going to get other information lookups because you say, yeah, you changed that ID from the T12A, but from the T13A, I need to pull now this logic stuff because I have from that world, I have something related to that ID that you just changed. So yes, I'm getting this involved now. I am involved. So you change from here, but I am now involved from here and I'm evaluating or whatever, relooking, whatever you ask me to do based on that context. So yes, you can do change it here and make from this and and get change, get things happen in another world. So that's why the anchor buoy system is so powerful, because you don't need to have this cloud of spider web, whatever, complexity, and have everything connected with everything. No, I don't have any connection from those two, but I don't care. FileMaker will make the connection automatically because you change here something, but you have something involving what you change here in this world. Do we have
People are
questions?
saying yes. We do have a question. The field calculation value can't have values from two different contexts.
Yes, I will do the demo. You have no limitation. Period. Anything. So in the item, the amount fields, right? This is the amount field. This is where all the magic happen is the amount. Is the final calculation is here. So everything that is possible here, everything that is possible here is possible in the other way, in the external schemas system. Everything you can do here, you can do the other way. The advantage now, right, is that I'm getting the logic for each record. So demo. Here, right? Okay. For this record, which this one, the CRM dev, right? We're here. CRM dev, it's this service. So it's a labor service, right? Let's put that bigger. It's this service. And for this service, this is the logic. This is a calc I need to use to get this, to get the amount. So this, right, this record, I am in T13. So for this field, to get the result of this field, I need to evaluate this calculation that use the T13B relationship and go to this field, which pretty much this record, they are all related to this invoice, the C8 They're all related to this invoice. All. Oops. Let me put this bigger. Make sure this too. Okay. They are all coming, all those fields, all those records are connected to this invoice. So this relationship goes from this table, the invoice item, to the invoice table, right? Using the ID invoice as relationship key, and I'm going to the field hourly rate in that table, right? So this guy is evaluating this. So let's say I'm going to change the service. It's no longer a labor. Let's say it's a travel, both, right? So it changed. It said time, so it changed this. So let's do this. See, labor, it changed the calc and reevaluate this, right? Product, travel, labor, right? So it changed the calc based on a record. I don't need anymore a case and if and whatever thing hard-coded in that field. This can be anything, anything. And I'm going to show you this. But before, I want to make sure that you understand. So now you get the power of this now. Because where's the limitation? Before, you had to hard-code everything and case. This is slow. This is hard. This is difficult. This is whoa, right? Now, you can put the calc here. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how you create your calc. Because, yeah, you will say, yeah, but how I can make a calc like this? Do I need to type everything and make sure I'm not making mistake? Heck no. I'm going to show you. Actually, right, I'm going to delete that, right? Oh, yeah. I'm going to delete this and make it for you after the question, if we have some.
I don't see any at the moment, so I think you're good.
Yes. So far, so good. So did you guys understood? Did you guys, are you using this? Or is that new? Is that news for you? Or is that news for you? And or are you using that? Are you going to use that in the future?
Larry said it was useful for him. David says I use evaluate, but I don't in different contexts. So
Yeah, here you're not. I'm going to show you. So that I know the problem is the context. I know that, right? So here the problem I had before. Why I'm using this most of the time? Let's say you have different services, right? And you have each services points to a different table, right? And I want to gather different type of records. So for example, let's say service A, go to the table A and grab all the records with a specific relationship, right? And I do the sum of a field, and that is the amount. Then for service B, I need to go to the table A, gather a different set of records, do the sum, but at the same time, right, I need to add the total of the sum of a table B, where I gather all the record, I do the sum, and I'm adding the total of the sum of table A and table B together. Then I have another service C, where I have another complexity thing to do. And that is an invoice system. And sometimes you have, so, and you know what I mean? So it was in part, so yeah, I could have done a case, but my case will have been like 200 cases together, right? And it would have been a mess. And in the same time, because we are not done yet, but because we have 3 days on this, right? Right?
Yes.
If you look well here, I have another hidden that is not yet scripts. Yes, I can also not only do a logic, but I can also perform different scripts for each service that do something different, like create records, right? So, you understand? So we're not done yet because I said external schema and script is part of schema, right? So it's not just the logic, it's also scripts, right? But that will be the third day because, you know, it involved many things together, and especially the perform script on server, right? So far I want to go slow. So now let's say, okay, I have a service. So I want to build a service, you know, and I want to build a calc. So what will be the calc for this service, right? And I want to build the calc. I'm putting myself in my starting context, which is, remember I said, okay, I want all my calc to come from invoice item. So I'm starting from the T13 invoice item, and I have a layout pointing to the T13 invoice item table, right? A context. So I'm starting from here. I'm here. I have this. I want to do something from here. Well, I build my relationship. I say, yes, I want to go to invoice. So from this and this, the relationship will be based on the invoice, you know, ID. So for each record, I want to go from here, from each record from here, right? I want to go to the record, the mother record, you know, the mother record of that, of all the items here, that is a many to one relationship, right? If I show this, it's many, you know how to read that, right? The cow fits, this is a cow fit, right? You see,
Mm-hmm.
it's a cow fit. It's a triangle with a bar. I don't know if I can make that. Oh yeah, I have this. Cow fit, correct?
Yep.
Here I don't. Here I have. It's many to one. It's a many to one relationship. I have many records here pointing to one. Yes, FileMaker is capable of making that determination. Correct? If I go to another relationship here, okay, here we have different. So here we have different type. We have a one too many, and that is correct. One record here, parent key, too many with foreign key, right? Foreign key, IDF foreign. So that's why this relationship, it's a one too many. And this is a relationship from a global field to many. So now you know how to read that, right? And sometimes you have many to many, and FileMaker is capable of making that determination, right? So now you know to read that. It's a many to one, and that is a one too many because you have the cow fit, right? So I am from T13 and I want to build that calculation and I want to put the calculation in this field with all the benefits of the calc dialog. Well, you position yourself where you should be, right? And you say, okay, go to data viewer, you are in the T13 context. Well, now I can do whatever I want. So what do I want? Well, I want to go to invoice, right? And get the labor, the hourly rate. This is my calc. I don't care about the results. I copy the calc. I copy it, it's there. Copy it, and I paste it here. Boom. And pop, it comes automatically. So I have the benefits of the calc dialog, right? Of course, you can make your own, change, like I did here, right? Because it was easy to do. Adding multiplication and dot 25, you don't need to go to the calc dialog to do that, right? You can type it, right? Correct? So this is how I'm building those things. This calc here, in this context, service doesn't work. But it's the source, is where I'm putting I'm putting the calc there. It's a repository, right? It's a repository where it's a library of calcs. They don't work from here. I don't care. They are just a piece of text. This is my code. At that point, this is not a calc. It's a code. It's a piece of code. It doesn't work. But when I'm going to put the ID that will connect this record with this record here, and I have my lookup that's going to suck up the piece of code, right, inside this field. Well, this field is in the invoice item. So now this here, it comes from there, is no longer a piece of code. It's a calc. And now, because this is a valid calc that FileMaker will be able to evaluate in that context, then this works. The unique rate. This works. Evaluates the logic. So let's say I'm here and I'm putting anything. Get something that FileMaker can do, right? So get current date plus 150 or plus, 20. This FileMaker can do that, right? This is a real valid calculation that FileMaker can evaluate. So if I go here and I say, okay, evaluate this, please. Evaluate this. Well, yeah. Today plus 20 days, that will be the 5th of January of 2025. Correct? And if I change the calc and I said, and carry return, and so real FileMaker calc, right? And I say get a username, right? Well, evaluate this is this, correct? You understand how it works? So if I have another, right, and I say get, I say, for example, I'm going to the T13, right? And I want to get the invoice ID, and I want to quote this. Yeah, if I put this right, I can do that too. So this calc here, right? Quotes should be a S, no? Okay, so for example, I want to build that calc, so I want to make it working. So I'm going there, and I say, okay, why is not working? So I'm going to the T13B and take this. Why? Oh, because I don't have an ID. Oh, I don't have a. Oh yeah, I don't have the ID invoice here. So hold on, it will work. So I just need to put this here. So need this now. It's quote is quote is quote. So now, if I evaluate this, I have the ID quoted, right? And if I change on the fly this evaluate logic in this record where I'm in, but if I change record, I change results. See? So you can have one field. So imagine that this evaluating logic is in these fields. Well, the result of that field will be different. Here, I don't have the result because it's a number and it cannot do this, right? If I put this in text, right? But I don't want to do that. So, so you understand, but I can get, so if I say, if I have a, test logic, so let's put another, and I say, evaluate whatever in the logic, and I put that where the test logic. So if I put this, why doesn't look test logic is a text? Okay, here comes. I don't know why this didn't come. I don't know. No idea. Anyway, so you understand. So this, so you can have the same one field, right? You have one field with different. I don't know why this one, but you have one field with different results. But the field calculation, I don't have. No, it's not. It's unit rate. I don't have complexity, right? Just evaluate this. I don't have a case or if or whatever, right? So do we have any questions so far?
I assume that changing a field name or relationship name will mess you up?
Totally. Completely. But I'll tell you something, right? Yeah, of course, if I change the name of this, right? But it's not that hard to change. I'm going to show you how we do that, right? So I'm going to show you how we do that. So let's say I'm going to show you this. How, and actually, you know what? I worked on the system. I will work. I will show you the. I will show you the at the end the or tomorrow. I'm going to show you that tomorrow. The a real world system, right? And how it was easy to rename a field, right? So here, for example, you know, here, let's say I have travel and I have travel 2, right? And this will be travel rates plus travel rates multiplied by 178, for example. So I have 2 travel rates. So I have 2 calcs that point to travel rate, right? I'm going to show you how we change this, right? But let me explain to you something. When you work on a very large project, right? And I've learned that when I was at Claris FileMaker, right? And I was part of meetings sometime with engineers that were working on the FileMaker application itself, working on this, not on FileMaker files, right? And when it was about to rename something, they had 15 meetings before they take the decision of renaming something. And they had a bunch of people evaluating the impact of renaming this. Because on an Xcode or JavaScript, or whatever, you can rename. Okay, you know what? For you guys that have habits to work with JavaScript inside FileMaker, right? Change the name. Do it. Do it for me, please. Change something. Add a comma. Remove a S. Or change something. Yeah, you will see what you get at the end. A really brand new, spanking new question mark as a result because you rename something, right? So, and that is not because FileMaker has this ability of renaming all the dependencies automatically, right? Because FileMaker was intended primarily for rookie and unsavvy. It was meant for that. Yes, it is still meant for that. But here we are not there anymore. We are not playing in that playground. We are on the on the rocket ship science stuff. So you don't rename anything. When you have projects that has some project I'm working on, you have like thousands of relationships and stuff like that. You don't freaking rename anything. Sometimes I say, you know what I'm doing? Oh, I need exactly the same relationship, but for personal reasons, because my mood changed, because I don't know, I get up in a good mood or a bad mood, I want to change the name. What I'm doing? I'm building another one. I'm building another one, another relationship, right? And if I want to change the name of a field, well, I don't do it. I don't rename the name of the field. You don't. You can't do that. Or if you do, you need to pay the price. So if you want to rename, right? I want to rename something here. So I want to rename that field, the travel miles rate. I want to rename it. So if I go in my table invoice and I rename that travel rate, mile rate, and I just want travel rate, right? Well, I copy this, copy the name. I'll rename it. Don't worry. I do it. Boom. Right? So now, yeah, you guessed it. If I go there and I say travel, question mark. And if I go there, travel to, question mark. Right? Broken. Because this field travel miles rate no longer exists. Okay. So I'm getting this. So if you have a Mac, you can do that. If you have a PC, well, you have your eyes to cry. I'm dragging this here. This is the name of the old field. Now, what you would have done, I'm asking to see if you guys knows how to use FileMaker now. Let's say I have 200 lines with this field and I have no clue where it is buried because I have calculation logic here that, when I click here, I have like somewhere like from here, I have let statement and stuff like that. So it's buried. I don't know. So how you do that? I want to see if there's someone that knows FileMaker very, very well. Answer? Marge? Oh, we lost Marge.
No. Find and replace.
Who said that?
Ken Tooley.
Ken, you're right. Ken, you won the prize. By the way, I'm going to call you because tomorrow we need to talk tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, Wednesday. So, yes, you won the prize. So you know why why? It's because you're 50 plus. Well, so yes, find and replace. So you go to edits, find replace, and you say one. Find this, replace with this, forward, all record, current field. Replace all. Do you want to replace? Right? You say yes. Travel rate, travel rate, travel rate. If I go there, poof, it works. Poof, it works. So it's not that difficult to rename something. You could have done the same if you change the name of this, or if you change the name of all, right? But where this is freaking powerful is that, yeah, okay, I have 200 calcs, right? And I want to change a field, right, on those 200 calcs because I changed my mind and now, the client changed his mind. He said, oh, no. Don't pick the field from that table. Pick the field from another table, right? Let's say you have 200 calcs like this on managed database and you want to change 200 calcs like this. Open, click OK, select the field, go to auto enter, edit the calculation, make your change, paste your change, validate, go to the next field, poof. With this system here, you change 200 calc, 2000 calc, 2 billion calcs in a click. That's why I'm using this much more than before, I'm not saying that, oh yeah, let's build FileMaker that way. Right? I'm not saying this at all. But for this type of application, it's really, it's the way to do it, right? Because, so before we go, I need to, because I have a lot of things to say about this. Obviously, it's a powerful tool that I'm showing here, something you should and you must use if you want to go, if you want to have something powerful, if you want something fast, if you want something easy, because it is easy. It's not complicated. What can be more easy than having a CAG that looks like this? Poof. Tell me, what can be more easy than this, right? Cannot be, right? It is easy. But now I say yes, but how you can get an auto entry calculation to evaluate something from an external table, because I am in T13 here and I am evaluating on T13me on a related table. And we know that auto entry calculation doesn't get reevaluate if automatically if you have related fields in it? Well, we use a trigger technique. So Marge, maybe you can send the, a link to the trigger webinar. But here, what will be the trigger? Well, I'm changing here this field. This is a field that gets changed. If I go there, see this one? If I go there, I change it. Poof, it gets changed. It gets changed and change and change, right? So I'm changing that field, right? This is a field that change, and that is a field that will gets the new calc, gets the new logic. Ergo, this is the field that will trigger the whole thing, right? So I want this field to be reevaluated. I want this auto entry calculation to go again each time I'm modifying this field. Well, in this table here, in a let statement using, I'm putting that field, the field I am changing manually with, I'm putting that field here in a let statement. And because this field belongs to the local table here, right? Well, if I change it, that means it will reevaluate the whole thing because I changed this local field. Even though in the logic, the field is coming, the field that I'm taking the info, the data is a related field. Yes, but because because I have in the calc, I have involved one field local in this table is involved now in this calc, even though it doesn't have any implication on the results. I don't care, it's just there because I want to use that field as a trigger, right? And you can add many triggers, sometimes I want this field to be reevaluated with this one or this one, depending on what I'm doing and depending on what, right? So this is why this get reevaluated. But hold on, I'm not changing the field in T13. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. So how from here, I am in this context here. I'm in T12A. Yes, but from the same reason as before. This field here, I displayed and changed it and edited from T12A. But these fields, right, belong to the table invoice item. And these fields, if I change it from any context in the system, any context, if I change this field, it will, and if I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 calculation with this field involved, I can change that field from any context. It will reevaluate all the calculation where I have this field in an auto entry. And that is the superpower of the trigger system, because I could be in any context in my whole project. If I change that field and I have, 10 calculation using that field pointing to different world and pointing to different, that will get reevaluated. So that's why I'm here. I'm changing travel to product, but because the field I'm changing here is involved in the calculation in that table, And the calculation of that table, would it involve a relation or a field where I have a relationship, doesn't matter. It will get reevaluated. And that's superpower. But all of this, we can use all of this because we use relationships, right? So if we have any question, I'm willing to take them now,
If we have questions, I'm going to forward them to you tomorrow because I have a meeting. So
Oh, okay,
coming up.
okay.
So people who ask questions, I have them. I have copied them. I promise we will get to them tomorrow. So please return for version 2 tomorrow, and we'll cover. There's like 3, so there's 3 questions
Yes,
we'll cover at the beginning.
I
People
can
are
say.
asking about the sample files.
Yeah.
Gonna share that.
I'm sending right now.
Oh, are you? Okay, cool.
Yeah. This is on my is on my what's the name? It's on my hard drive, so I can send it to you.
Cool. Excellent. Cool. All right then. Thank you everybody for coming. We hope you have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.